This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, welcome to the Warren County Salary Board meeting of March 10th. I suppose we have been dispensing with the Pledge of Allegiance, but since there's a few of us in the conference room, we'll go ahead and do that. So please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The meeting is being recorded. There's no cause for executive session that I'm aware of, correct? Kaylin or Kim?
That is correct.
Okay. We do have still on the old items of discussion, the single point of entry guard. I don't believe that we're going to talk about that today unless the sheriff has.
I would ask for a little more time just to I can do research as Commissioner Erickson is also doing or requested. So I'm thinking of alternative ways we might be able to come up. So yeah, I would ask for a stay on that.
Okay. So actually the motion last month was to table until we brought back up. So we won't need to table it today. We'll just continue it. Next, county detective part-time to full-time. I will ask Attorney Rob Green to, oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Pam. I forgot to approve the minutes. How did I miss that? Could I have a motion to approve the minutes from February 10th?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Durbin, seconded by Denny Munsgard. Discussion. All those in favor, please state aye. Aye. Approves unanimously. All right. Now on to Attorney Green for an explanation on the part-time to full-time.
Hey, thank you very much. Can everyone hear me okay? Yep. Okay. I see nods of heads. So the district attorney or the chief county detective position is extremely important to the DA's office. I'm not sure whose back that is. It's not mine. It's not coming from me. You guys can hear me okay? All right. There's a number of duties that chief county detective does with regards to Rule 600 tracking, due diligence, evidence room custodian, investigating, arresting for crimes, especially those committed at the courthouse or the jail, assisting myself and my ADAs with trial preparation, running criminal histories, preparing monthly, something that we haven't done for a while, which I think Josh would like to hear, and hopefully we can still work with them. The paper used to work with us on a top 10, which we would update every month, which was very productive. We haven't done that for a while. We'd like to start doing that again. And the two most important functions that I haven't mentioned yet with the county detective, chief county detective, is one, being a liaison between the various law enforcement departments in Warren County, including the state police, sheriff's department, Conowanga Township, city of Warren police, and Youngsville police. All of the agencies work on different agendas, but same agenda to arrest crime and keep people safe, but basically different protocols, getting discovery for trials, trial prep, all that. I need someone to help be a liaison between myself, my office, and those agencies, and helping to resolve disputes. Not that there are any, Mr. Cotton, but if there were disputes, to help resolve disputes between agencies, jurisdiction, things like that. That's one of the main things that a county detective does. But foremost and most important is the Drug Task Force coordinator. The Drug Task Force has existed for some time now. It's paramount in trying to keep hard drugs and big drug dealers out of Warren County. I can tell you right now, any officer would attest to the fact that our Drug Task Force is the envy of Jamestown. Different other agencies look to our Drug Task Force. Have been talked to by other DAs wanting to know how we run our task force. They've heard how efficient we are, and we've done a great job. That's with the leadership of Bill Mickle and also now Sheriff Zeibel. That being said, I'm without a coordinator right now and need someone. I need someone who knows the people around here and is capable of doing such a thing. I put out ads advertising for the position, and the most qualified candidate is Dina, the canine dog. Fortunately, a handler comes with her who fits all those prior categories, which I said, Thomas Kibbe. Now, this isn't specifically about Thomas Kibbe. It's about making the position part-time to full-time, but I need that full-time status to, the only way I can get a part-time officer is if they're retired and getting benefits, or for some reason they just don't need benefits. With going specifically to Tom Kibbe, not to say that he's the one that is in stone, but he's in stone in getting the position if this is approved. It works out great for the sheriff's department. It works out great for my department. It keeps the county with a canine that's been trained and does a fantastic job in Warren County. And I can go into a whole lot more detail, but I will spare you the details at this time unless it's necessary. But due to all those reasons, the district attorney's office, I am requesting that the salary board approve the chief county detective position at the Warren County DA's office to be full-time with a salary of $50,000 per year.
Not to preempt Denny, but do you want to go ahead and explain how this would be, at least for a time period, budget neutral? Denny's question is always, is it budgeted?
Yeah. Well, and a couple of things with regards to the budget. First off, I have, and I haven't done the math recently, but because I've been without a county detective for since January 1 through now we're at March 10th, that's 2.5 months that I have not used any. Currently, the budget I have for a county detective is $50,000. So whatever 12 into 50,000 times 2.5 is, I'm figuring around $7,000, little or give or take, is about what we have for the extra, which the extra is basically going to be the benefits for the full-time chief county detective. Also, and this is where the sheriff comes in, and I believe Sheriff Zeibel is on the phone. I'm basically, I don't want to say stealing Kibbe, but I'm stealing Kibbe from the sheriff's department. The sheriff's department is well, I let the sheriff address that with regards to how it's going to be not only cost neutral, but the sheriff and I both believe through that this will save the county some money. Sheriff, you got any?
For the record, for the record, Commissioner Durbin, Sheriff Zeibel, and Chief Deputy Fetzek are all here in the conference room with me.
Okay.
Sheriff?
Yes, absolutely. I'm just trying to, do I want to start there or go the other way? Again, easy numbers. Kibbe is an expensive member of the sheriff's office due to his specialized skill set. His specialized skill set makes him invaluable to local police departments, the state police, etc. And why I'm, again, not going down to the minutiae of detail, canine handler Kibbe and the dog are requested many more and much more times for call-outs, for service, for request of assistance than a standard sheriff's deputy because of this specialized skill set. The cost savings that is associated with this through the district attorney's budget and through the agreement with the district attorney, Kibbe would be receiving, again, easy money, $50,000 in a salary. That is, give or take, very close to his base salary at the sheriff's office. However, I have some papers with me of overtime stats. We'll just say canine versus the average officer, which is now going to be a savings because, as understood and proposed by the district attorney, the $50,000 is a base salary alone with no overtime, unless the overtime was an outside source, DUI patrol, buckle up, other federally funded or state funded sources, including any kind of AG money. But just for simple numbers of overtime savings, because this was pitched earlier as well. In 2018, the sheriff's office had 878 and a half hours of overtime. 2019, Deputy Kibbe comes on board. The number jumps to 1364. 2020, 1528. That's total hours spent in overtime. Breaking that down, and to be fair to the people who aren't looking at these stats in front of me, Randy Eckert has a high amount of overtime as well. But Randy Eckert is the anomaly that I spoke about before in other meetings, that he is our transport coordinator. If SCI calls and says these inmates need taken from A to B, we don't have a choice in that, we being the sheriff. If Fayette County calls or Pittsburgh PD calls and says we have a warrant, you have a warrant, we served it, this man is in Pittsburgh and he needs to go to Warren County, logistically, Randy gets in a car and goes get this guy. I can't eliminate that. That is something we can work on for business hours and stuff like that, but there is some of that overtime that literally I cannot control. So take Randy out of the equation, easy math. For 2019, the average deputy had 102 hours of overtime. Thomas Kibbe had 271. 2020, average deputy, 111 hours of overtime. Thomas Kibbe, 280. That's hard numbers from pay stubs that, again, I can show in math and in writing the amount of overtime, because we know it's a lot, but seeing that in numbers, that is a real number for the people who are wondering how much overtime is going to be saved. Well, there's your number. Again, it's 2 3/4 above our average, double and 3/4 above that. Go ahead, sir.
If I could jump in just real quick, just to cut this to nuts and bolts. The sheriff and I just figured roughly that the reason Kibbe's numbers, I don't know whether to call him deputy or detective yet, but that his numbers for overtime were so much higher is because of the canine, because he was called out numerous times to assist other departments. And when he goes to assist other departments, he doesn't have a cage in his car currently, and therefore other agents have to come to help him out also. So when Detective Kibbe were to get called out, that's why he had overtime for the sheriff's department. As the chief county detective, he will not receive overtime from the county. It'll be a salaried position, and he'll work the hours here, will not be getting overtime, because his duties will be tailored more to the Warren County Drug Task Force, and therefore the extra hours he had to put in, he won't have to put in for that. With regards to him being called out for dog duties, we're incorporating that into the $50,000 base salary, and there will not be any overtime paid by the county. So if you look at the $15,000 extra Kibbe made in 2019, that's another $15,000. You combine the $15,000 plus the $20,000 in benefits that he received a year as a deputy, he's looking at $85,000 a year, basic, roughly what he's making. The DA chief county detective is assigned $50,000, so that's a total of $135,000. If Kibbe transfers over to my office and this becomes full time, then now the sheriff deputy, strike that, the DA chief Kibbe will make $50,000 plus $20,000 in benefits, so he'll be making $70,000 a year with the benefits. And the sheriff deputy, to hire a new sheriff deputy at $35,000 a year, which is a lower rate because he's newer, plus $20,000 in benefits is $55,000. You're looking at a savings of not a staying the same, but a savings of $10,000 to the county. Now, obviously, as a new deputy would gain seniority, he'd start making more. But where we're primarily making the savings, if this is all about nuts, bolts, and money, and looking at the bottom line, we're saving the county about $10,000 a year for the next, I figure, about 3 or 4 years until the other deputy catches up in the timing. There's so much more to this that is beneficial to Warren County with regards to keeping the canine and having him utilized in our county, not only for drugs, but for searches, for apprehension, for pure PR of bad guys. You better stay the heck out of Warren County because we got a dog that's going to come sniff your drugs. I think this is a absolute cost savings to the county. Even if it's equal cost to the county, it's worth it. And once again, I ask you to approve this. Is that good, Denny?
Yes.
Do you want to speak on, try to speak on the
I have
car?
a question. I have a question in regards to that. And so, regardless if Dina is in the sheriff's department or the DA's office, and we get called out, now he'll continue to get called out as he was or not.
Absolutely, he will.
Okay, now, so then I guess I understand if we look at it in county dollars, I can understand where we, overall going to save money. But I guess for me, it begs the question, should we be billing the other municipalities for these calls?
Well, that'd be a question for a different day, but I would have arguments for that, for and against, and probably be against that, because I let part of one of the big parts of my office and the liaison aspect of the chief county detective is to build a camaraderie between the departments. And I don't know how that would be received by other municipalities, but it's a good question.
That's an interesting question, Denny, for sure to look into. I think the easier, low hanging fruit would probably be going after bail related things. Is that fair, Rob?
Yeah, and that's something that actually the sheriff is looking into also, because we have, oh God, how many warrants do we have, Sheriff? He just went through all of them. There are so many outstanding warrants. Was it like 800 or something?
It was like 264 rings a bell. That was just fines and costs. That's not other criminal. That fines and costs was at 264, and that we'll just say is, I don't know, give or take half to a third, and that's just fines and costs. But I do remember that number in my head. But yes, right. You're close. Yes.
Okay. And I don't want to build pie in the sky. I think I did that before, not intentionally, but inadvertently, that because there are so many outstanding warrants or old cases where people, literally 1982 or 2000, which seems like yesterday, but it's actually 21 years ago, that we have cases that there was bail that we can go after bail bondsmen for that bail. There are fewer than I had originally anticipated, but there are so many warrants, and I believe he's just talking about fines and costs. I believe we have like 800 warrants that need to be gone through, and it's very time consuming and strenuous. And that's something else that Deputy Kibbe would be doing, working with the Sheriff's Department. First and foremost, though, we're trying to, it's an internal issue with regards to who's responsible for the warrant and due diligence and all this other technical stuff. But that's for another day.
Any other questions?
I do. So is Mr. Kibbe ready to give up the overtime pay?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And here's the thing, he will be able to receive, and obviously as years progress, in the year 2030, I'm hoping Kibbe's making more than $50,000 a year if he's still here, wherever it is. Not these cost of living and things like that. That would, but with regards to extra pay relating to overtime, he will still be eligible for, they have DUI checkpoints, they have click it or ticket, they have other programs that he would be able to receive overtime. But Kibbe is, he's a canine handler now. He loves that position, and I'll speak for Kibbe in that, because I've had some in-depth conversations with him. If this, and I don't want to sound, I think this is a no-brainer. I think everyone's on board. So I don't mean this to sound like we got to do this or this is going to happen, but we would lose a canine if this does not happen. The Sheriff's Department would not be able to maintain the canine with the way the Sheriff's Department wants to go, because the sheriff's department, is my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, Z, but is going more towards less roving patrols and less, interaction due to sheriff powers and the law and how that works. And it's a gray area and what power sheriffs actually have, when they can arrest, as deputy Kibbe working for the sheriff's department, it's a question mark how much arrest powers he has. As the county detective, he will have full law enforcement powers, just like every PSP officer, every city officer, and they'll be county-wide. There's no question anymore. But if so the sheriff, I don't think, and it just wasn't going to work at the sheriff's department. So if he doesn't stay at the sheriff's department, which is not probably going to happen, he doesn't come to my office unless Youngsville decides to have a canine unit, or the city. He's probably going somewhere where they want a dog, because you know how dogs are. You love your dogs, and when they come to work with you and they're your partner, I don't blame him. He doesn't want to give that up. And it's such an asset to Warren County in my office. So.
Well,
All right, back, Denny, I have spoke to Kibbe directly related to your question. His entitlement to be a police officer and run that dog, and the benefits that has working for the DA, in his words to my ears, would be beneficial and would override the give or take $17,000 that I would have paid him in overtime as a sheriff's deputy. So ultimately, we have spoken about this together, and he would give that up to have this new position, period.
okay, I understand. And from my point of view, after seeing the county run with one dog, not under the umbrella of the county, and watching Conewango Township do that, I just think it should be under the county in some way, shape, or form. Then it can be utilized throughout the county by whoever needs it. That's my opinion for what it's worth. So having a dog under the umbrella of the county that can be utilized, to me, is the way it should be. We shouldn't be depending on like a Conewango or a Youngsville for that everybody would be utilizing. So I'd rather see the dog at the county.
Anything else?
And I guess if we have to pay Kibbe to come along with that, I guess we have to pay him. I'm done.
The only thing, the only thing that I wanted to just go on record as saying is just to make sure that he is removed from the union if this position were to be approved, and he would not be eligible to work at all in the sheriff's department, because I just want to make sure that there's clarity for union purposes. We wouldn't want him to be part of the sheriff's office working so often to be able to be part of the union. I just want to make sure that it's clear that that opportunity would be gone.
Yeah, well, and I think the only thing I'm going to speak on Kibbe's behalf, I believe he's in complete agreement with that. However, his county benefit, the time that he's put in the county and put into his retirement, and that would just transfer over as if he
Yes.
he still gets those years, correct?
Right. Yep. Yes, all of those would transfer over. And then the other thing, I just want to just make sure that I'm clear, if this were approved, this would all be under the DA budget for payroll purposes. Is that correct?
That's my understanding.
Okay. And then the last thing was we would have to decide on an effective date, just to be clear, I guess.
Yesterday.
So first of all, let me quickly address the budgetary thing. It's outside of the scope of the discussion or the vote today, but we do understand that if this is approved, the commissioners would need to make a budget allocation change, which, is not a big deal. It's fairly routine actually, but we would be needing to take certain resources from the sheriff's office and reallocate it towards the district attorney's budget. So the net to the county is zero, but the vehicle, for instance, would be moving from the sheriff's office to the DA's office. Other things such as, weapons, et cetera, would probably be also transferring over.
That wouldn't be a cost, but yeah, that would be we'll just say a paper transfer from my office to the district attorney's office that we'll just say a shotgun rifle and pistol that is used day to day in operations is now assigned to the DA's office to be used for police work. That's a simple piece of paper. No money involved.
And then, yes, the union thing is obvious. Now, the question as to the start date, that's a pretty good question. I mean, it has been the practice of this body to sometimes go back in time. So if that makes sense, we could do it.
Yeah, my suggestion would be one pay be backwards from today.
Okay. So Kim, what would that be?
So we are paid this Friday, so the last pay before that was February 26th.
So any budget adjustment would be from the 26th on.
Back to, okay,
So it would be from,
I believe I'm hearing a motion from Attorney Green to change the part-time position of Chief County Detective to full-time effective February 26th, 2021, keeping the salary the same at $50,000, but obviously by virtue of making it full-time, adding benefits to it. Is that fair?
Yes.
Are there any questions on that motion? If not, I would ask for a second.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Commissioner Durbin. Is there any other discussion? Any other questions?
I would like to go back to Kim's point. Kim, do you anticipate any issues with the union?
no, I was just saying that for clarity, because if he was going to be spending any type of time in the sheriff's office, that's where I was thinking that there could be a problem, because and again, I don't know how many hours you have to work in a specific union position to be part of the union. I just wanted to clarify that. But no, we've never had a problem with somebody moving from a union position to a non-union position. We should be fine.
Okay, I just want to clarify what the potential would be. I would think he's in his capacity, he's going to act as the county detective, which is, I guess you could say, it's kind of like an overlap with the sheriffs if they work together on items. So I don't.
Yeah, but if I guess I was just gaining clarity because I didn't want anybody to come back and say he's spending partial time there. He would be union eligible. So I think in this we need to make that clear.
Yeah,
and I think we have. So.
Okay, I'm good.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No other questions? Okay, again, the motion is the part-time to full-time. The commissioners will have to deliberate in a commissioners meeting at some time in the future about the transfer of the budget adjustment. That said, we have some runway because the position has been vacant for a couple months, so the sheriff's office, or excuse me, the district attorney's office does have a little bit of room in the budget as it stands to facilitate this. All right, well, if there's no other comments, questions, then I will call the question. All those in favor of the motion, please state aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Motion carries. I managed to already close my agenda. So Pam, was there anything else on the agenda?
Can I say one thing real quick? Off record, or actually on record, Josh, but you're going to be there about, you already know. I just wanted to, not that I was being presumptuous, but there will be a swearing in tomorrow at 1:30, which all of you are invited to in the main courtroom.
Okay.
If you want to be there. With the dog and photographs, Josh. Judge Curtis gave us a thumbs up for you to be there taking pictures. That's all I got. Thank you.
All right, Pam, if there's nothing else on the agenda, then I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Make that motion.
Made by Denny, seconded by Durbin. All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.